Chapter 1, Lesson 2, What Affects Your Health? We're going to look at the influences that play an outside role on who you are, the decisions you make, and ultimately your physical health, your mental, emotional health, and your social health. Let's take a look at the list of the most common influences on your health. We're going to talk about heredity, basically the health in your body and your genetics and your genes that you get from your family and your parents. Your physical environment, meaning the things that are around you that can be positive and can be negative. We have your social environment, the people around you that can have a good or a bad influence on you. Your culture, who you are, where you come from, the reasons you do some of the things you do, traditions, holidays, foods you eat, things like that. Your attitude, basically how you attack a day every day. Your personal outlook on how you can interact with others, and also the decisions you make. Your behavior, which is a reflection of your attitude, and basically a reflection of all the different things from up above. And lastly, the media and technology, how those influence you both in a positive or negative way. Let's start by talking about heredity. We're talking about all the traits that were biologically passed on to you from your parents, and obviously the traits passed to them from their parents, and so on. We cannot control our heredity. We're born with it, for good or for bad. Somebody who is tall and got genetics and genes from their parents to be a tall person can't go back and fix that. Now, there are certain things in our body that are controllable, that we can have an influence on. Some people are more predetermined to have a certain body type or body size, which could include the ability to put on weight more easily. And certainly, diet and exercise are things we can control about that, but we can't go back and change who we are in the body type that we're given. But other examples of things that we can't control that we are born with are hair color, eye color, body type, risk for heart disease, diabetes, and other illnesses. Now, you might be saying to yourself, yes, there are things you can do to cut down on any risk based on uh, anything you have in your heredity that could lead you to a higher risk of an illness, such as diabetes or other illnesses. And again, diet and exercise are things that we can control, but sometimes healthy people get sick, and healthy people also can die from illnesses that we would think we'd have some control over. Our environment is another very big influence on us. We're talking about the sum of all your surroundings. You think about the city you live in, the state you live in, even just our country in the United States, we have different physical environments that maybe other countries, other cultures, other people don't have. And if we break it down really into your immediate physical environment, we're talking about your neighborhood, your school, the air and water quality in that particular school or neighborhood, certainly recreational facilities that are available to you. Do you have the opportunity to go to a park and get fresh air, exercise, take a dog for a walk? Do you have a YMCA or a gym nearby where you can buy a membership and go be active at your leisure? Or are these things more difficult to find and maybe unable for you to do? So that's certainly something that we would call being in your physical environment. Your social environment also is very important. We're talking about the people around you, including your friends, your family, the peer pressure that comes with it, maybe the bullies in a school, people you don't like, people that mistreat you or have a negative effect on your social health. Certainly, you come in contact with a lot of people every single day. You think about the social circles that you have and the number of students you see at school, people you see in the community, in your neighborhood, teachers, people at church, just going to Target, going to Walmart, something like that. You're going to see a lot of people, whether you know them or not. They can have a big impact on your social health and ultimately your mental, emotional health, and so on. And of course, culture is an important part of who we are. It's the collective beliefs, customs, and behaviors of a group. Certainly, the United States, breaking that down into people from Minnesota, people from Zimmerman, people in this high school, are going to have a much different culture than that of people from Elk River, people from Rogers, people from Brooklyn Park, people from Los Angeles, New York, and so on, where we do things similar within the same social group or social environment, and a lot of times based on who we are and where we come from. And again, that's going to include religion, language, food, traditions, etc. So our influences include the people and the things around us. Another influence on us is our attitudes, the way we view things. Are you a person who's a glass half full or glass half empty type of person? Do you have a positive outlook going in, or are you somebody who's fairly pessimistic or negative or tends to dwell on the bad things that happen to you or in life in general? And our attitude is going to affect our behavior. It's a huge correlation between the way we feel to the things that we do. Our behavior is a control we have over our actions. If somebody has a poor attitude, we know that statistically we're going to see people who are more inclined to use chemicals such as tobacco, drugs, and alcohol. But we know people who have a positive outlook are going to avoid those type of chemicals. So that would be a perfect example of where attitude can affect behavior. Drinking and driving is a behavior versus calling a friend. It's a decision, it's a choice that we make. Rock climbing versus riding a bike. We know that some of the choices that we make in terms of our physical activity can have a big impact on our health if we're not careful or if we get hurt or knowing that there's a risk involved. I'm not saying that you should avoid all activities because there might be a risk, that our behavior can be controlled that way, but we certainly know that we got to be careful with the choices that we make because ultimately our body, our health is at risk to be affected and to be hurt. But we also know we can have a good time doing some of these activities, such as rock climbing, or doing something that's a little bit more dangerous but controlled and exciting and fun. And we can have a good time and want to do it again, and do it with friends and family and have it be social as well. So we just have to be careful with the choices we make and the behaviors that we partake in. Media and technology is an increasingly bigger influence on our health over the last 5, 10, 20 years, is certainly with the invention of the internet. We're talking about two very powerful influences on our health with media and technology. Certainly, we're describing radio, television, and internet, but we're also talking about print forms too, including newspapers and magazines. TV personalities can become role models. They can be positive or negative. We have models, we have athletes. The problem is the beautiful people we see on TV with the perfect bodies, with that are perfect height, not overweight, beautiful face, things like that. We're talking about a rare percentage of people in this world that get to be on TV and represent, oftentimes what the general person thinks is, that's what everybody should look like. Well, you think about the beautiful people you see on TV and magazines and newspapers or whatever, and then look around your community and see how many of those people you really do see walking around, and it's not that common. So we have to be careful the influence they have over us in the choices that we make based on these people that we might idolize or view as role models. Tiger Woods is in this picture here. Tiger Woods is somebody for a long, long time that we thought had a squeaky clean image, was a hard worker, was somebody that, as an athlete, kids and people could look up to because he did things right. Well, it turns out just a couple of years ago, we find out that he is, cheating on his wife. He's got a lot of extra marital affairs going on the side, and he gets divorced, and certainly that the image of Tiger Woods has changed since. We still know he's a great athlete, but his private life then can be a reflection on who he is in the public eye. An example of whether or not athletes should or shouldn't be role models is evident in a commercial Charles Barkley made in the early 1990s for Nike, where he discusses whether or not he should be a role model as an athlete or parents should. Now, I would never disagree that parents should be the biggest role models in a child's life. However, if somebody's a fan of an athlete, like many people were of Charles Barkley and still are, he's still on TV, his actions, just as Tiger Woods' actions, can be very, important or scrutinized by people who are fans or are watching, and certainly we know there are people, especially younger kids, teenagers, who may make choices based on the things they see their favorite athletes do. So I recommend going to watch video number one right now. It's a 30-second commercial about Charles Barkley. And I want you to think, is he right or is he wrong? Here's Charles Barkley's commercial from Nike. Tell me what you think. If you think that he is right on, or if he has a good point, or something you disagree with.
I am not a role model. I'm not paid to be a role model. I am paid to wreak havoc on the basketball court. Parents should be role models. Just because I dunk a basketball doesn't mean I should raise your kids.
Let's use some modern athletes. Let's use Tiger Woods, who's still in the public eye, or let's talk about Michael Phelps, who's a very recent Olympic swimmer with a lot of success, or Joe Mauer here in the Twin Cities area. Do the actions that these athletes take, are they an influence on other people? You decide. I personally think they are, and it's something that we should be thinking about.